People who own XRP, this is it. It's official. Ripple has been meeting with the Trump government. What they're talking about behind closed doors could completely change the cryptocurrency market forever. Also, something we've been waiting for years will start tomorrow, a first-of-its-kind event for XRP. Together, these two events make for the best possible situation ever. Today is the day we've all been waiting for, and all the signs are that XRP is about to get a huge boost from institutions and a flood of new money. This is not advice about money. Just a quick note before we go any further. It's now 25 basis points less expensive to borrow money from the Federal Reserve. Some people were hoping for 50, but don't get it wrong. This is a very important turning point. In the history of crypto, every big bull run has done best when interest rates are low. Why? When it's easier to get capital, the market is flooded with liquidity, and buyers are much more likely to put their money into risky assets like XRP. The United States government spends more on interest payments than on the whole defense budget right now. Rate cuts are under a lot of pressure because of this, and this move, even if it's only 25 basis points, marks the start of a new era. The great thing about this is that XRP has held up well even though we're dealing with one of the worst high interest rate situations we've seen in years. That tells you something. It tells you what's really going on in the market. Now picture adding the rocket fuel of easy money on top of that. You'd be like someone who runs a race barefoot and then gets given the newest pair of high-performance running shoes. You will fly past the other people. That's the case with XRP at the moment. Also, don't forget how powerful motion can be. It looks like the Fed will make more than one cut in the near future. This year, there will likely be 3 more cuts. All of these cuts mean that there is more money in the risk-on market and that assets like XRP have more chances to take in billions of dollars in new money. It's getting harder to see the consolidation we've been seeing on the XRP picture. One spark is all it takes for a breakout that could send XRP to the $8 to $10 range much faster than anyone thought possible, but that's just the big picture of the economy. Now let's talk about XRP itself, because the news this week is nothing short of game-changing. Options contracts for XRP have now been added by the CME. This isn't just a launch party for a product. It means that the demand for XRP among institutions has hit a new level. It was already big with futures contracts, but options make it even bigger. Options make it easy for sophisticated investors and institutions to spread their risk, protect their gains, and use bigger amounts of capital. Rich people don't just look for ways to make money, they need to find ways to keep their investments safe, especially since they are putting billions of dollars into risky assets like XRP. Options contracts give you just that way to do it. There is a lot at stake here. If the CME, which is the biggest derivatives market in the world, lists new products like XRP options, it means that people really want them. The infrastructure is ready, and banks are getting ready to put a lot of money into it. Take a look at this. XRP used to be like a race car that was kept in the shed. The power was there all the time. Schools finally have the seatbelts, airbags, and other safety gear they need to get behind the wheel and use that car to its fullest ability thanks to options contracts. This statement is very important for the long-term price of XRP because of this reason. Also, since we're talking about news, another surprise just went off. Charles Hoskinson said that he and other top Ripple execs went to a meeting in Washington, D.C. What did he say? A lot of work is being made on legislation from both parties. That's really big. Ripple isn't just taking part in the talk, that's clear. It's in charge. As you read this, Ripple is trying to make the laws and rules that will govern cryptocurrency in the U.S. for decades to come. Now think about what that means. The rules and regulations in the U.S. have been a mess for years. A government official says one thing and another official says something else. Right now, though, Ripple is becoming the official Bitcoin authority in the U.S. That's a strong position. All of the big names in the internet like Google, Amazon, and Facebook came from the US. The same thing is happening now in crypto. Ripple is quickly becoming the standard for crypto companies based in the United States. This will be good for XRP. This is also a very interesting part of the Trump administration's role. Many were worried at first. Would this office only handle Bitcoin? Do you think they would lean toward the maximalist side? But what people do shows that's not true. There is Ripple in the room. Ripple is a part of it. The Trump administration seems determined to make the U.S. a great place for crypto to grow, and XRP is at the forefront of this push. That is not only good news, it's also significant. Now let's talk about the XRP ETF, which is the most important change of all. The first XRP spot ETF goes live tomorrow. It's finally here. Everyone has been waiting for it. When there is an XRP ETF, regular investors, retirement plans, institutions, and asset managers can use standard brokerage tools to get exposure to XRP. There are no trades, wallets, or technical problems. It only takes one click to get a lot of publicity for XRP. We can't say enough about how important this is. There are trillions of dollars in standard markets that are linked to digital assets through exchange-traded funds, ETFs. And when XRP is available in this way, it's like floodgates open. For my part, I think the XRP ETF could become one of the most popular ETFs out there. Why? Because XRP is in a unique position with real-world use cases, huge institutional demand, and clear rules from the US government all working in its favor. There is no other digital asset that has that combo. Don't forget that this is only the first one. The start tomorrow is the first wave of events. A dozen or more XRP ETFs trading by the end of the year wouldn't surprise me. Each one would bring billions into the market. Fans of XRP have been waiting for years for this tidal wave event, and it's no longer just a guess. It's true. That means that what we see today is the right alignment. Rate cuts by the Federal Reserve make money and cash easy to get. Institutions can get advanced goods from CME, such as XRP options. Ripple is working with lawmakers to write the next crypto laws in the US. And tomorrow is the official start of the first XRP spot ETF. So this is why XRP isn't just another coin. The coin is at the center of the biggest changes in policy, institutions, and the economy as a whole that we have ever seen. It all seems to be coming together at once, and we're just getting started. Let's talk more about why the current movement for XRP is different from anything it's ever seen before. This includes the Fed rate cuts, the CME options, Ripple's meetings in Washington, and the launch of the XRP ETF. We need to focus on cash flows, which is a very important idea. You can't just pick any time for money to come in or go out of markets. Institutions don't just decide one day to put billions of dollars into an asset without a plan. First, some structures, processes, and gateways need to be set up. There are now systems being built out on every front for the first time in XRP's history. These systems cover everything from regulation to investment goods. That's why the timing is so strange. Remember when Bitcoin ETFs were first made? As soon as they came out, billions of dollars poured in almost right away. At first, the market wasn't sure if they would really matter. It wasn't just about the money, it took a lot of trust. Mainstream buyers could then say, this isn't just some weird asset anymore, Wall Street knows about it. That change in how people think is just as important as the money itself. And the same thing is about to happen to XRP starting tomorrow with the first spot ETF. Things get even more interesting now. Money XRP is not Bitcoin. From the start, XRP was made to solve real-world money issues, especially when it comes to sending money across borders. XRP already has relationships with banks, payment providers, and financial institutions around the world. This is different from many other cryptocurrencies that are still trying to find a use case. Because of this, it changes when ETFs come out, when CME options are added, or when laws are made with Ripple in mind. Because XRP isn't just an investment, it's also something that can be used. Let's think about how this fits into the bigger picture. People will want XRP a lot more when the ETF goes live. The shares that these ETFs give out are backed by the real asset. That means that for every dollar that goes into the ETF, XRP is bought and kept. The best part is now here. XRP is in short supply. The market only has a certain number of tickets. As institutional demand rises, supply shock is bound to happen. When there is no change in supply and demand goes up, prices go up. It's just good business. This is why the launch of the ETF is more than just news. It's the start of the next big XRP rise. We've seen this happen with other assets before, but the way XRP is set up makes the result even more powerful. Now that we've talked about explosives, let's go over to the politics side again, because it's impossible to stress how important Ripple is in Washington. One of the biggest risks for XRP for years was not knowing what the rules would be. The SEC might call it a security. Would it not be sold in the US? Would Ripple be able to make it through the court battles? These questions cause buyers to be very hesitant. But now, Ripple has not only lived, it's even doing very well. The company is now involved in the legislative process and is working with politicians to make crypto regulation that works for both parties. That's not surviving, that's being in charge. This means that buyers can be sure that XRP will stay in the US market for the first time ever. That's the kind of clarity that businesses need before they put a lot of money into something. This is the reason why new products like futures, options, and ETFs are coming out so quickly, even more quickly than anyone thought. The pieces are falling into place. The need for US-based crypto leadership is another piece of the puzzle that is often missed. Everywhere in the world, banks are looking for a standard. For the long term, they want to know which cryptocurrencies will be backed, regulated, and worked into the financial system. Now that Ripple is at the top of US policy, XRP has a chance to become the norm. Most of the time, the rest of the world follows what the US does. Let's connect this to the Federal Reserve again, since the big picture of the economy is very important here. Rate cuts are just the start. Less interest rates make people more likely to borrow, spend, and invest. They often make the dollar weaker too, which makes other investments like crypto even more appealing. If you're in charge of a $1 billion fund and you know that interest rates are going down, you want to invest that money in things that could go up in value. Bonds are not enough. Stocks may do well, but they are already too high. Crypto, and XRP in particular, looks like the best bet right now thanks to its clear regulations and strong financial infrastructure. And this isn't just a guess. It's happened before. Remember the 2020 bull run. Rates were at all-time lows, there was a lot of money in the market, and crypto prices went through the roof. Bitcoin and Ethereum both hit new all-time highs, and XRP also had its own big moves. Now, XRP is much better developed, better integrated into institutions, and better backed by politicians than it was back then. It's even stronger this time because of that. Also, let's talk about one more important change, how Ripple presents itself as an American business. Perception is important in the world of crypto. Bitcoin is used all over the world, but it doesn't have a center, a face, or a leader. That could be a strength or a weakness. XRP, on the other hand, has Ripple, an American company with leadership, a main office, and a direct line to policymakers. XRP has an advantage over other big cryptocurrencies that can't be copied. Governments and institutions love being held accountable. Their favorite thing about having someone is that they can call, meet, ask questions, and work with. That's what Ripple does, and XRP directly gains from it. In which case, we now come to adoption. There is a cause for every big bull run. It was the store of value story for Bitcoin. Blockchain technology and smart contracts were what made Ethereum possible. Institutional usage on a large scale is looking like it will be the thing that makes XRP go. The options contracts, the ETFs, and the bipartisan legislation are the building parts of an adoption story that could take XRP to heights that no one thinks were possible a year ago. The time frame is also very important. When these rocks start to fall, people often don't realize how quickly momentum can build. Something like an XRP ETF coming out in 2025 didn't seem likely a year ago. A lot of people thought we wouldn't see one until the end of the decade. Still, here we are just before the first launch. What makes it so strong is the speed. When markets figure out how quickly things are changing, they change the prices of goods to reflect that. And the huge price changes we've seen in other crypto cycles are caused by this repricing. Now, I want to stress how all of these things, the Fed cuts, the launch of the ETF, the options on the CME, and the Ripple meetings are coming together at the same time. It doesn't happen very often in the market that several huge catalysts line up properly. Usually there's one big event, then another one in a few months, and maybe even another one next year. But right now, everything is going on at the same time. That's why this time feels different. This setup is so different because of that. The best part comes next. The process is still very new. Tomorrow is just the first day that the ETF will be available. There will be more ETFs, there will be more laws passed, a lot more organizations will give, rate cuts will keep coming, and XRP gets stronger, more real, and more valuable in the eyes of the market at every step. It's easy to see when you step back. We are seeing XRP grow from a small-scale cryptocurrency to an important part of the world's banking system. Things are coming together just right, and the time couldn't be better. The foundations that are being made now will determine the path of XRP for years to come, so the next few months are going to be very important. The key is easy as we move forward. Watch how the money moves. Keep an eye on the institutional acceptance to see that this is not a random event. It's on purpose. It is organized. All of this points to one result: a huge drop in the value of XRP as the rest of the world finally figures out what we've known the whole time. So far, we've talked about rate cuts, CME options, Ripple's talks in Washington, and the launch of the ETF. You can see how the roadmap is coming together, How will the price of XRP change over the next year and beyond? That's the real question now. To answer that, we need to look at 3 levels of adoption: individuals, businesses, and the government. As more layers are added, more money flows into XRP. This is called compounding, and it's what makes the currency grow at an exponential rate. This one is the easiest to understand. Retail. People like me buy XRP on platforms, store it in wallets, and guess what will happen to it in the future? Even though retail demand is strong, it's spread out and not as big as institutional flows. Retail can cause price spikes and instability, but it's not enough to keep XRP valued at the trillions of dollars we think it will reach soon. Now, this is where institutions come in. The numbers change a lot when banks, hedge funds, asset managers, and pension funds start to allocate. They don't buy a few $1,000s worth of XRP. They buy a lot of things, sometimes billions of dollars worth. And now that the infrastructure is being built, like ETFs, CME options, and clear rules, they have the tools they need to do it. Institutions make things stable, easy to get money for, and trustworthy. They're not just looking for pumps, they're also planning for long-term growth. The third level is made up of governments. This is the important one that almost no one talks about. It's becoming clear to governments that they need blockchain solutions for banking systems, cross-border payments, and even digital currencies issued by central banks. With its speed, efficiency, and track record, XRP is one of the few currencies that can really work at that level. If governments start using XRP in their banking systems, huge amounts of money will flow through them that neither individuals nor banks can provide. That's the end goal. What's the point of this right now? Because all 3 layers are now lined up for the first time. People in retail are excited, banks are given the go-ahead with ETFs and options, and governments are meeting with Ripple to help them write laws. That's the whole package. That's why this XRP cycle is so different from all the others we've seen. Now let's talk about how things work when an ETF goes live. Let's say an asset manager starts an XRP ETF, and in the first few weeks it only gets $1 billion in sales. The fund has to buy and hold $1 billion worth of XRP to back up those shares. That immediately lowers the amount of money that can be used on markets. When you multiply that by 10 ETFs, each bringing in a few $1 billion, you have tens of billions of dollars flooding into a market that is already very tight on cash. In this way, supply changes take place. That's how quickly prices change. Don't forget that ETFs keep your money safe. People who buy XRP on a market might sell it the next day. Institutions usually hold on to the money they buy through ETFs for 3 to 5 years. That long-term lockup sets the stage for long-term price rises, not just short-term ones. This is why predictions that XRP will hit $8 to $10 soon aren't just wishful thinking. They're based on how supply and demand work. If billions come in and the supply gets tight, prices will have to go up. And once things start to move quickly, when popular news starts to blast that the XRP ETF breaks records, retail FOMO helps fuel the fire. To make parabola moves happen, you need to have that feedback loop. But let's look at the bigger picture. $8 to $10 is just the start. Once XRP shows it can break out of its present range, it will change its price all over again. People who invested in it before but thought it was just another altcoin will have to think again. The way the media covers the market will change. Institutional analysts will start putting out bullish reports, and more ETFs will be released to meet demand. That's how things go from having no value at all to having 2 or 3 figures. Several things need to happen before the chain reaction can begin. The first event is what we're about to see tomorrow. Let's connect this to the Fed once more. Every cut in rates makes things worse. When the cost of borrowing money is lower, institutions can use more cash. Regular people who spend money feel richer and more confident, and buyers from other countries see chances in U.S. markets that they can't find anywhere else. That, along with bipartisan legislation that makes regulations clear, makes for the perfect atmosphere for XRP to grow. Narrative is one more thing we need to think about. As much as principles drive capital in the financial markets, stories also do. And the story that is being told about XRP is strong. It's not just any cryptocurrency, it's the American cryptocurrency. The one sitting with people who make decisions, the one with goods for institutions, the one who solves problems in the real world. That story makes itself interesting, and it can't be stopped once it starts to spread in the mass media. Think about what happened with the story about Bitcoin being like digital gold. At first, it was only true crypto followers who believed in it, but once major news outlets started saying it again and again, the market saw it as true. Bitcoin is now widely used as a way to keep value. The story of XRP is now being written in real time. the crypto backed by the US, the bridge currency, and the payment layer. When that story starts to stick, money will start to flow. The world is also at a turning point. The world is looking for solutions to the way money works now. It's slow, expensive, and out of date to send money across borders. Banks and governments need better answers more than anything. XRP isn't just a thought. This technology has been used for years and has been shown to work well. That's why it's not a surprise that institutions are starting to use it. It has to be done. Real issues are solved by XRP, and money always goes to issues that are solved. So the road plan is clear as we look ahead. More rate cuts from the Federal Reserve, more ETFs coming out, more institutions allocating, more laws that make things clearer, and more states looking for blockchain solutions. And XRP is at the center of it all. It's not about hype. We're seeing a unique combination of macroeconomic forces, institutional adoption, and political backing that we have never seen before. The time is running out quickly, and the chance is huge. We're not going to wait years for these events to happen. They're taking place right now. That's the reason why the next few months are so important. Every news release, product launch, and policy change makes things move faster. XRP won't be just another cryptocurrency once that progress is clear to see. Crypto will be the most important part of the new money system.